How does that
No,
look?
I'm not saying that. You get some sense that there's a handful of stocks.
Look at that. I mean, you could tie that to the market. Bang.
Welcome back to Commercial Break. Dami, how are you today?
Strong to very strong. How are you, sir?
You're looking strong. Look, I'm a little challenged by, like, this weekend we're supposed to get away for the weekend, but my kid's been invited to a birthday party, and don't you hate when actually your 8-year-old's holding up your entire weekend plans? And not only that, the birthday party is a magic show. All right. And not for nothing, but I don't like magic. I don't believe in magic. I find it a little creepy. Like I want to vet the magician first, and find out what's going on. So that's what's going on for me.
Well, that's a tough one to get around. 8 years old, third grade, all the friends are going to be there, your entire class. You're saying to yourself, do I allow, it's a tough one. Do I allow him to go or do I, ostracize him? It's tough call.
Well, not only that, I mean, and you're right, because he has to be there. I mean, the social pressure's starting to build in third grade. I mean, the fact of the matter is, Bobby and Jimmy and Sally are all going to be there. I think the question I'm worried about too is he going to be asked to participate in the magic show? Will he be the kid they try to cut in half? Or it's, I don't know if I don't want participating. So
That's
anyway.
a fair point. There was a movie out, I think, in the 80s. It was called Magic, and just the commercial for it freaked me out. Like those things, they don't sit well with me.
Isn't that guy Copper Top a magician? The comedian Copper.
That's Carrot Top. He's not a magician, although I think a lot of people would like to see him disappear. No, you're thinking of David Copperfield, which is interesting you mentioned him because this week in 1812,
Okay,
Tim,
here we go.
Charles Dickens was born. Now, we're mentioning David Copperfield because one of Dickens' pieces was in fact David Copperfield. The question is, did Charles Dickens know something the rest of us didn't know in 1812?
It's amazing that we've gone from my kid's magic show to David Copperfield. And by the way, I look, until you just said that, I know a lot about Charles Dickens. I think Christmas Carol. I think Oliver Twist. But I thought David Copperfield was a magician, who wore bad tuxedos and not that funny, by the way. What is it that magicians actually think they're comedians? This may be why I confused Carrot Top, aka Copper Top. I guess Copper Top's a battery, by the way. And those Duracell commercials. Who's the guy? Is it Shep? No, Conrad. Conrad.
No, you're thinking of Shep. You're thinking of Shep Messing, who was the goaltender for the Cosmos. You're thinking of that Doug Henning, who was the magician that was on like the Muppet Show.
Okay, so I'm glad you did that. That's not where I was going. I was just thinking of the Duracell Copper Top commercials, and it was Bob Conrad who dared you to knock that Duracell off his shoulder. I don't know why he was doing that. And Carrot Top, by the way, back to that guy. I mean, he's a talented guy, man. He's the greatest snowboarder in the world. I mean, I tell you what. I mean, you've never seen Shaun White and Carrot Top in the same place at the same time. Think about it. You'd never thought about that before, and now you're like, yeah, those dudes are separated at birth.
Facial features are eerily reminiscent of one another, no doubt. My sense, though, Carrot Top is not doing he's not in the half pipe, as they say in Olympic land. By the way, some of the stuff that goes on, I don't know if you've been watching these Olympics. I mean, it is pretty ridiculous, some of these acrobatics they're pulling off on a pair of skis and a snowboard.
How's the U.S. doing this year? Are we holding our own? Because we're supposed to be, at this point. And why are the Russians the Russian Olympic Committee? What is that? I mean, if that's not confusing, it makes me feel like they're running the show yet again.
I don't know the origin of the ROC, as they say, which actually is pretty cool when you say it. But I think what's happening is I think the Olympic Committee is not recognizing Russia as a country, but they're still allowing them to send their athletes. I think there's something nuanced there that I'm not privy to. I mean, that's Olympic stuff. That's not, that's not my world.
I think the Russians won again. I mean, like, the fact of the matter is that they can basically run roughshod on all the rules, and they can actually change their name. And in fact, it's actually, as you said, it's kind of a cool name. Let's go back to Dickens, because I mean, pick a Dickens book, and let's do a market dynamic. And before we do that, we have to address the elephant in the room that apparently scaring the Dickens out of somebody is not something that is linked to Charles Dickens. In fact, if you were born in 1500, you were scaring the Dickens out of people, and you didn't even know that Charles Dickens would be born.
Obviously, Dickens didn't know that David Copperfield was going to be David Copperfield when he wrote the book, but
Neither
obviously
did
David Copperfield ripped it off.
Yeah.
But I was convinced, by the way, I mean, until recently, I was convinced that scaring the Dickens out of somebody referred to the aforementioned Charles Dickens. As it turns out, it was some Shakespearean thing, as most, by the way, sayings tend to be.
There's probably an entire commercial break that we could devote to idioms or crazy terms that just, like raining cats and dogs. Now, you got to tell me there's got to be some, I don't know. By the way, great word, the etymology. Can you spell that? The etymology of raining cats and dogs is not, I don't think that there's,
I know they're too wise in etymology. We'll do a spelling bee on commercial break as well. But you wanted to sort of break down the market in terms of Dickens novels. So Christmas Carol obviously is the one everybody knows. Apparently the ghost of Christmas Past right now is Facebook. But the really, if you really want to get into it, A Tale of Two Cities. That's the one we should look at, because clearly in my world right now, the Tale of Two Cities is Facebook on one side, which is being just crushed in terms of the stock, and Amazon on the flip side, which reported a ridiculous quarter.
I hear where you're going with Facebook and Google, two of the biggest tech companies in the world, whose paths, Facebook's fighting for relevance, which is why they're changing their name and trying to create a whole new product group. Meanwhile, Google's core business has never been hitting on more cylinders, and YouTube may be the media company that is the most important one. And last time I checked, if I'm going to buy myself a magician's outfit for Halloween, I go on Google and they're going to line me right up with davidcopperfield.com. So Google wins. I'm just going to say, Tale of Two Cities. How about value versus growth stocks? How about the market of 2021, where nobody cared about valuations and nobody cared really about normalized earnings, and everybody knew about what was going on with COVID and margins, and now suddenly these are things that we're paying attention to in 22.
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. As a Met fan, just out of curiosity, what was the best of times for you? I would imagine, if I had to guess, I'd say it's 1986. I mean, that's pretty much it. Or am I missing something?
You know what, Guy? It's every day I walk into Citi Field and see the Domino's Pizza insignia outside and go through the Jackie Robinson Rotunda, despite the fact that we've had some of the greatest players to play the game. With all due respect to Jackie, by the way, who obviously deserves all of his attention. But the fact that we couldn't have the Tom Seaver or the Mike Piazza rotunda. Met fans wake up every day and are just happy that there's baseball and we're loyal to our squad. I don't need to reminisce over the 86 Mets, who, by the way, probably were one of the greatest teams in baseball history, might have been one of the greatest times in New York City history. And you were just a young sapling kind of hitting Wall Street. So my guess is you were probably loving the Mets then too, but that's for another show.
Well, the Mets played the Red Sox in that World Series, as you all know. And I will tell you without equivocation that I was hoping for it to rain every day from October until January and just have the entire World Series rained out, because there was no winner for me in that World Series.
All right. So great expectations. What do you expect is the market's going to be doing in the next couple weeks, couple months? I don't care where you grab it, because nobody knows.
I think the great expectation is the Federal Reserve can thread the needle that they're currently trying to thread. And if they're able to do that successfully, maybe you're not going to have a hiccup in the market. That, to me, is what all the expectations right now lie upon the broad shoulders of Jerome Powell and the central bank.
So a song you probably hate, but I love, and I love the album, is called "Nude Kid in Town" by the Eagles, Hotel California. And there's a line in the song that's great expectations. Everybody's watching you. Guess what, Guy? Around 6 p.m. every night on Reach TV, whether you're somewhere in the airport or in your hotel room, everybody's watching you. What are we doing?
Well, I hope they are. I hope they're watching us all day long. Wherever they're traveling, check out Tim Seymour. I'm Guy Adami. But as you've come to learn, folks, we call ourselves...
Well, we are the new kids in town, and we are Commercial Break.